Reed, what up, bro? You boy, work Joe T. I'll let you. Shout out to the Lost Boys. Y'all stay intact, all right? Peace right here in the building.
REED-BBS. It's fascinating, Anthony, to see you up there today. Welp, the circus continues. Jake versus Joshua, the problem child. Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua, former two-time unified heavyweight champion of the world. Judgment Day, Friday, December the 19th, exclusively on Netflix. I've asked before, I will ask again. Is Jake Paul the second most powerful motherfucker in all of boxing, behind only His Excellency Turkey Al-Sheikh? From the Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones undercard, where he stretched Nate Robinson, Jake Paul is now in a position where he's getting favorable treatment. He's the A-side in negotiations, in fights, on posters with the likes of Mike Tyson, with Gervonta Tank Davis, and now, yes, with Anthony Joshua. I didn't even reference the very real and tangible negotiations with Saul Canelo Alvarez. That really happened as well. Let's just add that to getting first dibs over Mike Tyson, to having Gervonta Tank Davis signed and sealed, and the only reason Tank wasn't delivered was out of the ring exploits of his own doing. Jake had him right there. He led Tank to water, but you couldn't make that motherfucker drink. And now, like the others, Anthony Joshua is getting second dibs. He's second fiddle on a Jake Paul promotion. It's hard to swallow as a diehard, hardcore boxing fan. I'm just speaking on what is. It is what it is. And second only to His Excellency Turkey Al-Sheikh and them deep Saudi pockets is Jake Paul. It is. It used to be PBC. They used to run shit. PBC relinquished that with some bad business dealings, etc. Turkey Al-Sheikh won, Jake Paul too, until further notice. Audacious. Audacious. That's when you go from the 5'5", 135-pound Gervonta Tank Davis to the 6'6", 245, 250-pound Anthony Joshua. That's called nuts. That's called crazy. It's called audacious. And that's what Jake Paul is doing. So in that respect, I got to give him the ultimate respect. The 6'1", 230, 220, 230-pound Jake, he's now the whittle guy. He's the whittle guy in the scenario now. Whereas before, he got his hands on his knees so he can stoop low enough to Tank's level to look him eye to eye. Now he couldn't find platform shoes tall enough to get close to looking Joshua eye to eye. The behemoth, the behemoth of boxing. I thought it was behemoth, but a British scribe at the presser, at the Jake versus Joshua presser, called Joshua a behemoth of British boxing. Behemoth. Joshua at the presser, he's got that nice guy, complimentary, very much British way about him. He's a nice dude, but he's almost too nice in a political bullshit artist kind of way. Like, yeah, you're being nice. I feel your niceness. I'm just not necessarily buying it. Joshua was basically asked if he thought Jake Paul was crazy to offer a challenge to him, if he was off his rocker, and Joshua was like, no, he's logical. All he needs is belief in himself. All I need is belief in myself. It was like, come on, bro. Like, really? He's not crazy, he's logical. All he needs is to believe in himself, and I believe in myself. Jake Paul spoke of how having delusional optimism got him to where he is today, and how everyone should be prepared to be shocked by what's going to happen in this fight with Joshua. The bout will be scheduled for 8 rounds. Joshua hasn't fought an 8-rounder since 2015, if I'm not mistaken. And he has a weight limit of 245 pounds, which I believe is going to hurt Jake Paul. You would rather Joshua take you lightly and come in high 250s, 260s or whatnot. By placing a 245 limit on Joshua, you're making sure he's going to be trimmed and probably agitated for having to cut weight a little bit. So I think he's going to get a better Joshua than he probably wanted in mandating a 245-pound weight limit. But obviously, the pressure here is on Joshua. He's the pedigreed pugilist versus the goddamn YouTuber. On paper, a former unified, two-time unified heavyweight champion should almost literally wipe his ass with a YouTuber. That's how it should play out. But we're dealing into the world of clown fights and fuckery. We know the Jake Paul fights, there's rumors of scripting and whatnot, contracts, wink deals. But in terms of pressure, Joshua's had high expectations before and lost embarrassingly to a much less physical specimen than himself in bad-built Andy Ruiz. Hell, in his Madison Square Garden American debut in New York City, things couldn't have went worse for Joshua. Visually, the spectacle of this sculpted, chiseled, fucking Avenger-built motherfucker looked like a comic book superhero getting his ass whooped. Getting that ass whooped by bad-built Andy. That's a visual image that won't go away anytime soon, perhaps ever. But yet Joshua was dealt with that before. So now you got a sawed-off Jake Paul in front of you, doughy, fleshy build. That much won't faze Joshua. He's been there before in that way. He's been here before in that way. This also isn't Joshua's first rodeo when it comes to clown fights. Let's not forget the high that Francis Ngannou was on after dropping then reigning heavyweight champion of the world, Tyson Fury. Ngannou knocked Fury on his ass. You had MMA fanboys saying that MMA was taking over boxer. Your current heavyweight champion got dropped by a dude making his boxing debut. MMA dude, striker, making his boxing debut. And then Joshua shut all that shit down. There were a lot of people, boxing people, who thought Francis might even knock Joshua out. Joshua destroyed him. What was it, 2 rounds or less? Less than 2 rounds? Destroyed him. So Joshua's had the pressure of the clown fight and having to save boxing's honor, so to speak. He's been there before, so that gives him some familiarity when it comes to this clown fight with Jake Paul. At least it should. Once again, Joshua is switching teams. Now, in this case, I don't know if it's because the Jake fight came along pretty swiftly. Almost, you could call it a replacement opponent. And can't call it that, it is. He's a replacement opponent for a Tank. So maybe Ben Davison was already occupied with Moses Italma, who's going to be facing Jermaine Franklin in January. I'm sure they're knee-deep in camp as we speak. Maybe that's why Joshua didn't enlist the services of Davison in this case. He's with Team Usyk, which is kind of strange. You fought this dude twice, lost to him twice, and now you're in his camp, almost on some Rocky Apollo type of vibe, if you will. He's went from Robert McCracken to Robert Garcia to Derek James to Ben Davison. I mean, and it usually happens after a loss. That's when Joshua will suddenly switch. So now, over a year ago, you got your ass whooped by Daniel Dubois. Now all of a sudden, Ben Davison ain't in the corner. That's definitely, it doesn't bode well for a confident fighter mentally. It's like, oh, I lost, it had to be the trainer's fault. That's the vibe anyway. That's the energy that gives off. After all the cordialities and British nice guy shit, Joshua did finally get down to saying, I'm going to break him up, I'm going to break his body, I'm going to break his face, I'm going to stomp all over him. I'm here to compete. I'm going to want to really hurt him. I'm going to want to really hurt him when I'm in the ring with him. I'm here to compete. I'm going to show him some tricks that he probably hasn't seen before. I'm here to prove myself. Joshua said all that and more, but it's in the most polite and well-mannered fashion that at least to American ears, it's hard to take seriously, to hear him speak so eloquently and at such peace and calm and tranquility. I'm gonna break your face. I'm going to bust his body up. I'm going to really want to hurt him when he's in the ring. It's about the friendliest shit talk you'll ever hear. And it's not just because he's British, because hell, to hear Derek Chisora speak, he doesn't sound friendly when he's talking shit. But Joshua just has that gentlemanly James Bond fucking way about him and shit. You can't even take his shit talk seriously. Threats just don't come off quite the same when Joshua speaks the Queen's English. Or is it King's English? The undercard will feature former UFC champions boxing, Anderson Silva, Tyron Woodley. Also, Alicia Baumgartner will be defending her women's world title. Jake said he's ready to die to win this fight. He made a pretty astute point about heavyweights having trouble with the speed of smaller guys. He elaborated in a way that it tells me Jake Paul, yeah, he's been boxing for 5 years. He's a student of the game more than we probably want to give him credit for. He really seems to be. Fighting a smaller man as a heavyweight is difficult because of the speed difference, foot speed, angles, head movement. He mentioned just all of those factors that make things harder on heavyweights. He also spoke of and laughed as he said it, how he was gonna have to move a lot, jab move, pick and poke his way to avoid power shots. So he's pretty much giving his strategy away here. Power is great. I just have to avoid that one shot for 8 rounds. Bouncing around the ring, jabbing, weaving, I know I can pick him apart. On that astute boxing tip, when he was about to fight Tank, Jake had Shakur Stevenson in. He had a small southpaw in to prepare him for a small southpaw. In the case of Joshua, I believe he's got Lawrence Okolie, and some other bigger heavyweights, all guys bigger than him, obviously, to help him prepare for Joshua. He's taking it seriously, and he studies the game, again, more than we probably would like to admit. Could this be a bigger upset than Tyson Douglas? Or is this simply a case of Joshua being boxing's certified garbage man? And just like he took Ngannou out, he's going to take Jake Paul out. Subscribe, comment. Remember, sharing is caring. Love tap and or bitch slap that like button for you, boy. And shout out to the homies at fightbeat.com. Can you step to this? Joshua and Matchroom are so concerned with Jake Paul, they already have a couple deals on the table with His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh in 2026. He's apparently supposed to fight in February, possibly on a shared bill with Tyson Fury, who will obviously make his return. He's the worst retirer in the history of boxing, but I digress. And then in July is when Joshua and Fury are penciled in to possibly fight each other. But yeah, Joshua's so concerned with Jake Paul this fucking Friday, December the 19th. He already got not one, but two fights booked next year. That's how concerned he is with Jake Paul. Like I said earlier, you never quite know with Jake Paul fights. Accusations of scripting, WWE-styled, quote-unquote, boxing matches. You never quite know. I would like to think that Joshua is too proud and accomplished to buy into that bullshit, to sell himself in that way. But we're pretty sure Mike Tyson did just that. There was a price that got Mike Tyson to basically play the game. I hope Joshua doesn't play the game with Jake Paul. I don't think he will, but that's why we're going to watch to see it all play out, right? I think Joshua should smoke him. I don't think he would co-sign on any fuckery, but time will tell. Again, we'll watch either way. REED-BBS, BBS. Black Burke Sugar, Bachelor's in Boxing Studies. Television! Fred Sanford of the Fistic Arts. When all is said and done, there's nothing left to say or do.